Welcome to another episode of Teachers in Business. I think this is episode 58. And what we're going to talk about today is what I think of as the recipe for marketing success. And it's a simple one. It's all about keeping marketing simple. Marketing is the most common reason that people come for coaching, generally to a business coach. But it is also something like I work with 100% of my clients on, and about 2/3 of the people that come into my Facebook group in their answers to questions at the start mention something about marketing their business. This is a really common struggle, right? It's, I want to grow this business, but I don't know how to make myself findable. I don't know how to get in front of the people I need to be in front of. Like, where do I go? Who are they? What do I do? So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about how to succeed in marketing without making it really complicated. We tend to create like deep and complex marketing plans for ourselves, and we're not trying to make it such that it's a plan you can't or won't want to follow. Like, I recently had a client who developed this whole marketing plan before she and I were working together for a launch she wanted to do. And by the time she got to the launch, she was like, I don't even want to do this anymore. And the whole idea of the process shouldn't like steal your soul little by little. So it's not a good sign if by the time you get to the thing you really want, you're exhausted and you don't want to do it anymore. That's not the kind of marketing we're talking about here. We're talking about marketing that really feels like you. And that's part of why she came to me. We're talking about how to make it simple and yours. And so before I do that, what I want to remind you is, if you haven't taken a look at Charting Business Success, my small group program, this is probably the last week for a while that it is open and available to you. The next round of Charting Business Success kicks off February 7th. And as of right now, I have 2 open spots, but by this time next week, that may not be the case anymore. So you'd have to reach out and ask, but please do, because the more the merrier. We'll figure out a way to get everybody involved, even if we have to make 2 groups. But, if you're on my email list or you're in my group, what you'll know is that I got an endorsement for my Charting Business Success group from Santa Claus last week, and it made my freaking week. So I have a client who I adore, and she and her husband in the holidays every year are Santa and Mrs. Claus. Actually, a couple of years ago, they Zoomed with my kids over the holidays in 2020 because nobody was going to see Santa anywhere. And my son was still the age where he really wanted to do that. And she sent me a message over last weekend, and it said she was meeting with her CFO this morning, which is her husband, which is also Santa Claus. And he said to her that coaching with me has been the best thing that she has ever done for her business. Like, he is now sold on coaching. Santa is on my side, which is pretty exciting. But, when I sat down and really thought about it, I think it's important to line out the kinds of changes she's making as a part of the Charting Business Success group. So the first thing is, she's got a clear offer, and she's got a plan for meeting the people that she knows she wants to make offers to. She also knows now clearly the focus of her work. When we started the group, she said, I've got this thing I'm working on, and this thing I'm working on, and this thing I'm working on. And now it's like, okay, no, this is my lane. She knows why what she's doing matters, and she knows how to talk about it with people. She knows what she wants to say. She's also regularly and intentionally stretching out of her comfort zone, because we have helped to help her to figure out that the way she gets to meet those people is by stretching. Like, none of us meet new people in our comfort zone, or maybe we do. I don't know. I don't. And the other thing that she's really doing differently now as a part of the group is she's actively transferring all of the best things that she did as a teacher into her current business. And that really makes a difference. So this is 9 weeks into 16. It's going to have made, at the end of 16 weeks, a tremendous difference for her in her business difference. And the same kinds of changes, the same kinds of clarity, the same kinds of focus and intentionality are available to you as a part of this group. And I'll be really honest, At $1,000 for 16 weeks, this is an insanely good deal. Like, my coaches asked me to raise the price. I have not. I don't know if I will when I run the next round in June, but there is something magical about getting into a group like this, sort of towards the beginning where you're getting the very, very best. It's always going to be great, but this is in that like the growing phase where it's like super fun. I did that with both of the coaches that I've worked with in group programs. And it was the best part because it was really before it's fully scaled. And if you're thinking about how much it costs and the opportunity, this is not the time to skip it. This is the time to get in on it and say yes, because it probably won't be this price again when it launches another time in June. And it is not going to be until June when I run the next one. So if you're thinking about this and this might be for you, now is the time. All right, so let us talk about recipes. So here, I was thinking earlier today about cake. I like cake a lot. So if you know me at all, you know that this is probably not a strange thought for me. But I was thinking about cake recipes particularly. So if you think about a typical cake recipe, basically every cake includes a similar set of ingredients. It includes flour and sugar and, some sort of fat, butter, oil, whatever, coconut oil, probably an egg or two, and some kinds of flavoring, right? Vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, I don't know, you can tell me. All the things, you watch the cooking shows and they put things in cakes and I'm like, really? I bet I would like that, but it would never occur to me. Marketing is the same. I know that's not the impression we get from sort of the wide world of the internet, where it's like, if you don't do it this way, it's not going to work. If you don't build a funnel, you don't do these 17 steps exactly in order, it's not going to work. If it's not mapped 1,000% out before you start, it's not going to work. If it is not consistent in a way that is going to bore you to tears and torture you, it is not going to work. Like, I had a coach that I was working with over the fall tell me at some point in the fall that if I wanted to have a freebie, I needed a legitimately, no joke, 17 email funnel for it. And I was like, no, because that's not me. And the idea of writing a 17 email funnel, quite honestly, makes me want to like sit under my desk and never come back out. And no one would want my 17 email funnel that I hated writing. So for me, for you, the recipe of marketing is really about getting the core ingredients and doing what you want with them. The difference between any old cake that has flour, sugar, butter, eggs, and a flavor, and the cake that you make that people absolutely rave about, like in the wintertime around the holidays, I make religiously a sour cream apple coffee cake that like neighbors are like, is it coffee cake time? Is it time for coffee cake? That my family adores, that I hand out. I probably make 10 of them and just like hand them away. That's the thing that I make that is really entirely ours. And it's cake. It's just slightly different. It's the twist on cake that is mine. What marketing is the same. Like, it's got the same basic ingredients as cake, but it's got some additions. It's got some sour cream. It's got some cinnamon. It's got some apples. It's the best thing ever. But when we think about marketing, you need your core ingredients, and then you put your own flavor in them, right? If you wanted to make blueberry coffee cake, you could. I have contemplated it. I've never actually done it, which is crazy because I always make apple. If you wanted to make it lemon, that would be fine. If you wanted to add chocolate chips, it would be delicious. If you wanted to do all of these things, you make it your own. That's what we do with recipes. Marketing is not any different. So in the world of marketing, like general marketing, just like general cake is flour, sugar, fat, eggs, right? I don't know if eggs are a fat. You can see my baking knowledge is limited here. But in the world of general marketing, just like that general cake recipe, there are a couple ingredients that I think are at the core. The first is talking to human beings, connecting. Like, there's some vehicle you have to use for connecting to other people. Doesn't really matter what that is. You need to be connecting somehow, some way. You need to be visible to people who don't know you in some form. They need to be able to find you in what you do. Okay. You need to be clear about who you help, what you do, and what you're offering them. Okay. That's the third one. And then the fourth one is you just need to repeat yourself a lot. Like marketing is saying the same thing over and over and over again until people hear you, because we all are busy. Our brains are like sieves, and we need to hear the same messages repeated at us. So that's what marketing is. Now, here's the thing. What you do with these ingredients is entirely up to you, how you use them. Maybe your version of connecting is, parties in your neighborhood. Maybe your version of connecting is networking. Maybe your version of connecting is showing up in Facebook groups and meeting new people and just making friends with everybody. I have a friend that's great at that, and I'm terrible at it. Maybe your version of connecting is volunteering. Maybe your version of connecting is church. Maybe your version of connecting, it doesn't matter. All of the options of like where you connect to human beings and have conversations are available to you. All you have to do with this ingredient to make the cake yours is pick the kind that you like. It's like, do you want to use bread flour or regular flour or super fine flour or what in this cake? Wheat flour, doesn't matter. Pick your flavor. Then you're going to pick the ways that it makes sense for you to be visible. In a lot of cases, those are social media platforms. Maybe it's Facebook, maybe it's Instagram, maybe it's TikTok, maybe it's Pinterest, maybe it's whatever. It doesn't matter. You pick the thing that works for you. You maybe have a website, you maybe don't. Websites for me, for you, meh, you do or you don't, it doesn't actually matter. I know people that run $100,000 businesses with like no thought of a website. I know people that run $100,000 businesses and they only have a website. It all works. It's just doing their version. So whatever way you want to be findable and visible, it might be that you're super present on social media and that's where people come to find you. It might be a podcast. It might be a book. It might be speaking. It might be going to conferences and being featured as a speaker and standing up in front of people and talking. Great. Doesn't matter. How are you visible? The other thing is being clear about who you serve, what you do for them, what you're offering. That is so much so like what flavor is your cake, right? Is it vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, pistachio? It doesn't matter. What matters is that you're like, this is what I do. This is how I do it. This is why it matters. I was talking to a client earlier this week. Today's Tuesday, so I guess that was on Monday. And, she said to me, well, I just need more information so I can decide what I'm offering. No, she's like, I need more feedback. No, it goes the other way. You decide what to offer. You get clear there. Then you get to offer it and then you revise, but the first decision is yours. So that clarity comes from making decisions and then going to talk to humans and be findable and all that stuff. And then it's really just repeat yourself. It's like, when you have brownies and it's like stir 50 times, right? So you have the core ingredients, you know how you're connecting, you know how you're visible, you know who it's for. And then you stir a lot and you just say the same thing over and over and over again. Not exactly the same way, of course, because that's super boring. Like you don't post the same offer every day, but you talk about what you're doing, why it matters, how it helps people, experiences you're having, things that are connected to it, things that people might be thinking are wrong, problems you solve, why that problems exist, what you're going to do to help them. I mean, like on and on and on and on and on. So this is how we move this forward. This is all marketing is. It doesn't have to be any more than this. You don't need, as a teacher, the thing that drove me most crazy was the year that we had like a prescriptive curriculum, because I am the worst with scripts. Like I'm not great with them, even as these are my notes for the podcast today. You can't see them on the podcast, but you can see them on the video on YouTube. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 bullets and a line. Like That's it. I don't script. I don't do it terribly well. And having like a prescriptive curriculum when I was a teacher, when it was like, okay, ask this question, then say these words, I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. Because it was like, this is the box you're in, and this is exactly how it's supposed to work. And this is going to work for everyone. And as a teacher, I knew that wasn't the case. There was no way those prescriptive questions were going to help all my kids, because they're all different. And there is no way the prescriptive, this is how a funnel is going to work, is going to work for every business in every instance. It's just not. That doesn't make any sense at all. So trying to shoehorn yourself into that process and make it so that that's the only way you can succeed is nuts, honestly, because that's it. You know as well as I do that when we really sit back and think about it, that's not logical at all. So the question I would ask you today is to think about your recipe. What is your marketing recipe? Is it, how are you connecting? How are you visible? How are you, who are you helping and how? What are you offering? And then how do you put that on repeat? How do you stir? I like here in the background, make stirring in a bowl are motions, because there's always hand motions here. You can't always see them. But that is really all you have to figure out right now. And then just like anything else, you test, like you make that cake the first time and you take it out of the oven and you're like, huh, well, that cake's kind of funny. So you change it a little bit the next time. You take it out of the oven and you're like, it tastes good, but it sure is ugly. So you use a different pan. And then you test and you try and you taste. You don't just change a recipe without making the cake, right? Like that's not how this works. You don't change the marketing without having used it. Okay. It's a recipe. You can do this. So if you have questions, please ask them. If you want to get in touch with me, the easiest way to do that is either via Facebook or LinkedIn message. Just come find me. I'm Sarah Torpy. I am findable. And you are welcome to also visit my website, which is torpycoaching.com. And you can book a time to chat. I'm happy to I do a lot of one-on-one connects with people, especially former teachers who are like, wait, what do I do now? And I'm happy to have those conversations. This is a part of how I show up and serve. And if you're thinking about charting business success, today is the day to reach out and get in touch. Do it this week so that I can get you in the group and you can start growing with us. I can't wait to get started. I will see you here next week. Bye.